Bye. Hi, this is my first live stream, and I'm super excited to be here. A little bit about what we're doing. We're going to be talking about co-designing work with wonder, and so much of what we do at Bayha Group is behind the scenes. And recently, I've been inspired to tell more about my story. To start with that, I'd actually like to share a little video that we put together just about my story. So I'm going to go ahead and share that.
I wish teachers knew my name. I wish they knew my story. I wish I knew why I had to learn this. I heard students say this time and again in my years as an education researcher. These words resonated with me because I was one of these students. I felt invisible. I didn't share my story with anyone at school. My family immigrated from Hong Kong in the early 1970s. My mother, grandmother, and Uncle Patrick, who was a teenager at the time, all lived with my other uncle, his wife, and 4 sons in Glendale, California. When I was 18, I met my father once, the only time in my life. My mother struggled in various minimum wage jobs, and her heavy Chinese accent did not help. We immigrated so my Uncle Patrick and I would have better educational opportunities. I vowed as a child to learn to speak English like an American, that I would do well in school because my mother always said, "What I get from education, no one can take from me." Public education should be a force for equity. I've spent over 20 years writing grants to bring millions of dollars to under-resourced public schools to pay for programs that help students discover and ultimately to connect to their life's purpose. It is pure joy to get to see a young person's eyes light up when they feel seen and valued, when they're empowered to use their voice to claim who they are, when they own their own learning, knowing it is relevant to their life. They will get to keep that forever. I'm June Bayha, CEO of Bayha Group.
So that's a little bit about me, and I'm actually going to bring my colleague and dear friend back on. Let's see. So Barb, I'm going to have you join us. Hi, Barb.
Hey there. You disappeared for a second.
I know. I'm still learning how to do this. Anyway,
first live stream adventure for sure.
I know, we're here. We did it. We got this started. Hi, Barb.
That was great. So why don't you start? I'd love to hear share with everybody why the live stream. This is your live stream and they're going to be, so tell us why you're doing this.
Well, I'm doing this mostly because I realized that in working with so many young people, building connection was really important for me. And part of it is sharing who I am and why Bayha Group and why some of the work that we do. And it really resonates with who I am and my story, what I care about, what the work that I've been doing for so many years is based on. So this live stream is really an opportunity to really feature what's happening with just what's happening in the world of work with young people, and yeah, just stuff that I think would be fun to share with others.
So that to your next thing, because this is called Work with Wonder, right? Coding Work with Wonder is the name of the live stream for now. but can you tell me, like, what, I sort of have some insight, but if you could break this into 2 things and explain what co-designing mean to you and why is it so important? And then, like, what does Work with Wonder mean? But, you know.
Yeah, no, yes. So So co-designing is really just the idea for me of, for so many years as an education researcher, that beginning of the video where I talk about wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard, that came directly from doing focus groups with young people for so many years. So as an education researcher, often I'd go to different communities and ask young people, well, what would they like to have happen in their schools to help them succeed in what they choose to do in their lives? And often they would say things like, I wish people knew my name. I wish they knew my story. And it's something that this started way before I even had children. And then once we had our two kids, it just became something that really was important to me, which is to really listen and treat young people as full human beings who have opinions, who have beliefs, and who really deserve a lot of respect for who they are. And so for me, it just felt like that's something that I care deeply about as a parent. It's something that I care deeply about in the work that we do. And so for me, co-designing is really taking the time to listen and to design something that's going to be helpful to the young people that we are working with. And
so that's really interesting. You say that you listen to your kids. A lot of parents kind of have that the other way around. The kids listen to the parents. Can you give me an example? Like when you say like you listen to your kids and they're full human beings and things like that. What sorts of things did you listen to them do? How does that work for parenthood?
Right. So, I mean, so we would call our kids, little people, right? When they were little, we would say, hey, our little people are, and I always felt like they were little people, even when they were toddlers. And so for me, it was just cool to see who they are and ask their opinions. And so whenever I felt like it was my job to be a guide for them to help support whatever interest they had. And so probably when our daughter was maybe 8 or 9, she wanted to take sewing classes. And so she wanted to learn how to sew. And so that was something that was important for us as a family was, well, how could I find her? To teach her how to sew. Well, I kind of know how to sew. I did that in junior high, but I didn't know how to make anything other than a pillow. And so it's just something I wanted to share a photo of something that she made. And then she also wanted to cook. And so it's something, this actual photo shows a little bit of both of her cooking and something that she sewed for herself.
So you were cool letting your kids basically around knives, needles, and fire is what I'm hearing. So co-designing is like give the children access to
totally knives, needles, fire for sure.
So what's the difference with wanting to cook? Oh my gosh! Oh, look at this. Tell me about this.
So this is a pillowcase that she transformed into a dress. And she wanted to cook something with onions, but really it made her cry. So she decided to put on her ski goggles, and I just thought it was hilarious. And it was just so fun to see what young people come up with. Like, I would never think to put on ski goggles and cut onions. And now it's become a thing at our house. Now it's not ski goggles, now it's swim goggles. But there's a pair of goggles in our kitchen all the time. My husband wears his goggles when he's cutting onions. Our son does. And so, yeah.
And so wait, tell me about the pillowcase. Didn't you have another picture I think I saw where that's very sad to me? Like she's basically looking around at household fabrics and going, I could make a dress out of that. Why not? And as a co-designing parent, you're just like, go for it. You have an idea.
Yeah. Let's share that one. Yes, it's one of my favorites. It's one of my all-time favorite photos of my daughter because how awesome is it that she is in bed with the sheets and the other pillowcase?
Oh my God, Doe, a deer. That is so great. So she just had that idea. So that's really cool. So when you say, so how do you translate that? So you do that why do you think it's so important to listen to youth, whether it's your own kids in determining what they wear or if they want to cook, or as we're going to segue a little bit to some of the stuff you're working on now, why is it so important that we grown-ups need to listen to kids?
I just feel like it's vital. It's something that I wish I had when I was growing up. My mom is a great mother, amazing, but she's always been my mother. She she tells me what to do and I do it because I'm a good Chinese daughter. And yet I wanted to be able to build relationship with my kids. I didn't want to just be the mom that tells them what to do. And it's something that I feel like respect is something that's earned. And earning respect really means listening. And listening in a sense that is really giving agency to, like, for our children. So we often, when we're deciding on family vacations, we all meet together before we decide where do we want to go. Does everybody want to go? And choices are things where it's just important that everybody's on board, and it's something that we do as a family. And it certainly it's been great because our kids are teenagers and they still talk to us. They want to hang out. They share what they're doing with us. And for me, just having that is huge. And I feel like doing that at home and then knowing that young people really want to be seen and heard. And especially now during this time when we can't see each other physically, it's really important to build relationship more so than ever. And so it's something that you'll hear about when we do our next live stream. And so it's just something I feel really strongly about. It's something that I care deeply about, and now feel like I'm in a position to really do more of it, especially professionally. And so I'm super excited.
So you have a question here that I think you're kind of already addressing. It's just, very few people actually take action. Dr. I says, what inspired you to take action to do something about the problem? I guess that maybe it would be cool if you identified what you see as a problem. It's like, it's important to listen to them, but can you talk to this a little?
Yeah, so it's based on a lot of research. So in terms of the problem, there's a number of quote unquote problems, right? The problem of perhaps young people are not heard and seen at school, perhaps, and then also having a set of high expectations. So there's a whole body of research about resilience, where young people are resilient if they have meaningful participation, if they have caring relationships, and if they're held to high expectations. And so for so many years as a researcher, to know that and then be in a position to actually take research and apply it, as well as having meaningful. So for me, meaningful participation is really having purpose, a sense of, well, why am I doing something? So many people have written about this for so many different ways, right? Simon Sinek with why do you do something? And then recently I read Viktor Frankl, who talks about the importance of having meaning. So that a sense of purpose and why, meaning behind what you're doing. And so I feel like it's important to address those components in something like an entry-level job. So this is the area that, for me, the problem I've been trying to solve is how do we help young people prepare for their first jobs? How do we help them think about building a body of work that they can get excited about? So whether they go to college or not go to college, it's really based on informed decisions about what kind of journey they would like for their life. So this idea of designing your life, that came out of some folks at Stanford. And so for me, we talk about work wonder. So the work is really about that body of work and having a sense of, even at 17. So 17 was a really magic year for me. It was the year that I got my job at JPL. I wasn't called an intern. I was called an academic part-time, but essentially it was an internship. It was also the year that I had my first project-based learning experience in high school. I was part of the journalism staff, which meant every 2 weeks we had to put out a newspaper. And we, as high schoolers, had to be responsible for putting that paper out every 2 weeks. And it was huge for me. And so I felt like it's just taking those components and then doing something that's fun and engaging, which is why we're calling this work wonder. So co-designing work with wonder, because the wonder is, people who know me, like, fun is huge. Like, the has to have fun factor. If there's no fun, forget it. I'm not going to do it. And so it just felt really important for me that there be joy, that there be love, there be respect, and the sense of curiosity. I'm constantly curious, which is why this live stream, because I was inspired by someone who does this regularly. And so I wanted to try it out. And over the summer, we were asking young people to do something that was uncomfortable. And I felt like, well, I don't want to be a hypocrite. And I want to do something that's uncomfortable for me. And so this is definitely one of them. And so I feel like it's now fun because Barb's here, you're here, right? It's fun now because like our next guest, I'm super, super excited about. Our next guest next Thursday at 1 p.m. is going to be an intern. So one of our Work Wonder interns from this summer. So we'll tell you more about Work Wonder that we did with Downey Unified next week. And so I wanted to keep this short today, and I see we're at the 15-minute mark. So I think, I don't know, Barb.
So you just need people to know, that's great. So this is a little bit about you, co-designing Work with Wonder, and then, to learn more about Work Wonder as a thing and actually hear from youth, which is so important to you, June, that we hear from youth. That's your guest next week. So that's going to be really great. And then I think I would encourage people to ask questions, follow up, and follow you.
Yep, I know. So we're going to hang out and we'll share more as we go. But yes, woohoo, we just did our first one. Right on. I know. I'm like, we're going to figure this high five thing out on live stream. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. More to come next Thursday at 1 p.m. Awesome. Bye.